Ladies and gentlemen, here is Joe Rogan with Jim Gaffigan, and they're speaking about Armenians specifically. And this has been shared in my community, and I thought there's a number of things that's really cool to kind of point out. Now, they're in the context of the video, they're talking about fighters and they're talking about Dagestan, and they're like sort of like, is it in Russia? Is it not? They're kind of confused about the geography of it and stuff. And yes, Dagestan is in Russia. And then in the midst of that conversation, they end up speaking about Armenians. So let's check it out.
Some of the most interesting and exciting prospects come out of that part of the world.
So fast. I mean, Armenia is fast.
Armenia has a ton of great fighters.
Well, Armenia, you go to like Jerusalem, right? There's like the Jewish quarter, the Muslim quarter, and then there's the Armenian quarter. Like the Armenians are so fascinating. Like they were like the first to embrace Christianity and just like
so there's a couple of things here that's very important. I think one of them being that Armenians have a quarter in Jerusalem. That's very interesting. Like, why do Armenians have a quarter in Jerusalem? Now, you can go back into history and read about it, and then about the Crusades and Armenians being in Jerusalem for a very long time. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff that that there's there. Armenians actually, Cilicia and Armenia being involved in the Crusades for the European countries to come through and kind of rejuvenate. And then the first queen of Jerusalem is an Armenian woman from the country or the kingdom of Edessa. If you've ever seen Kingdom of God, I think, the movie, you see this character, right? The king of Jerusalem. And so his wife was Armenian. So there's quite a bit of stuff there. And he speaks about Christianity and Armenians embracing Christianity. And it's very interesting, some of the comments Jim Gaffigan makes here. He says, they were first to embrace Christianity.
They were like all in.
And they were all in.
It's really, I mean, it's just fascinating because like and then the history of like them dealing with the Turks, and it's just.
So they were all in. And this is true, by the way. This is true. Like when you look at a people group and their acceptance of Christianity. So Armenia accepted Christianity in 301 AD. And on the heels of that, prior to that, by the way, Armenians are Zoroastrian. And in 451s, Armenia fought a war against the Persians who were trying to reconvert them back into Zoroastrianism. And they ended up, through that war, getting massacred, but keeping their independence, their religious independence. That's phenomenal that they were able to do this. And then subsequently after that, throughout history, just constantly being under pressure, predominantly by Muslims, to be converted into Islam, being dominated, whether that was the Persian Muslims, whether that was the caliphates that came through. At one point, the Mongols come through. Eventually, you get, this is post-Christianity we're talking about here. Eventually, you get the communists that are there, and there's like this pressure. And my reading of and speaking to people who are from Eastern European countries, Armenia seemed to have, for some reason, a lot more religious freedom than the Eastern European kind of more Slavic countries, right? The Baltic nations or whatever like that. Like there were a lot of oppression of Christians and persecution of Christians in those countries, as opposed to Armenia. And that could be due to shrewd politicians, Armenian politicians, connections with Russia, and so on and so forth. But it's just very interesting. They were all in, and there's been enough pressure and enough attack on these people, and they've remained true.
Just amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's been a lot of great Armenian fighters that have fought in MMA.
We know some of them.
Boxing as well.
They're voracious readers, too.
He said they're voracious readers. I appreciate that quite a bit. The nerd in me says, yes, we are. Right? I sure hope that's what we're known for. I'm really happy that the thing we're known for by Jim Gaffigan here is that we're voracious readers. I like that quite a bit. But this following comment is the one that I like quite a bit.
Anyway, I'm pro-Armenian.
I am too. I love Armenians.
Yeah.
I used to love Armenians in LA. They were refreshingly masculine.
I love that line, guys.
You know,
you guys. That's he said. Joe Rogan said, Armenians are refreshingly masculine. And if you've ever spent time with Armenians, and if you've never spent time with Armenians, I hope that as we have this give and take, you get to interact with me. And some of you guys actually complain about this very thing that he's talking about, that Armenia, it's not just me, it's my people. We are, according to Joe Rogan, refreshingly masculine. And I like that quite a bit. Part of that is because it's in our culture. It's sort of like in our DNA, in our cultural DNA. You know, when I was a kid and I would do silly stuff, I had older brothers and a dad who would say, hey, act your age, be a man. Even as a kid. I mean, those are things I say to my sons. Hey, act like a man. Hold the door open. When people walk into a room that are older than you, stand up and shake their hand. I have my children, my sons, when people come in and they don't greet them, I call them over and I say, come here, guys. Go greet this individual that just came in. You don't have the luxury of just ignoring people that have walked into your house. You don't have the luxury of walking into someone else's house and not greeting those people. Go shake their hands like a man. So my 5-year-old the other day, I had him go, and I just told him, hey, go shake hands and say, tell them your name, these people that you don't know. And he went and shook their hands. He said, hello, my name is Vahagan. And it was, again, this refreshingly masculine kind of thing. But that's like in our culture. We encourage our young men to be like that. And we also encourage our young women to be feminine. Not to be weak, by the way. This has nothing to do with being weak and strong. This has to do with being feminine and masculine. And those things mean a number of things when you have family gatherings and people are around and what your responsibilities are. So when I'm cooking, say I'm doing barbecue and we got guests over and my 5-year-old comes and stands next to me and starts asking me questions about what I'm doing, I don't discourage that. I encourage that. I encourage him to ask and find out and be participant in a way where he doesn't get hurt, obviously. So he said he's refreshingly masculine. Joe Rogan's hung out with a lot of Armenians, by the way, some of whom I know personally.
Like open about it. I love.
They're open about their masculinity.
LA is so, you know, for lack of a better term, I don't want to say feminized because I don't think feminine is negative, but you know, there's so many men that are just bitches.
No, I remember going to LA during pilot season with my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and we had a thing. Is that guy gay or from LA? And, you know, obviously we have tons of friends that are gay, but I was like, I don't know if he's gay or if he's just from LA. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Metro.
But that was probably like in the 2000s. So I don't know if that's.
It takes all kinds of people to run this crazy world.
He doesn't know whether those people are still around in LA. Jim Gaffigan, I'll tell you, still here. So that was just, again, it was refreshing coming from two guys sitting there, and then just Armenia becomes a part of the conversation. And there's a number of things they mention about Armenians. And I would wish, and a lot of times, right, you go, oh, you're Armenian. Oh, what is that? I've never met an Armenian. Or, oh, you're Armenian. Oh, you guys are voracious readers, right? Like you guys are serious about education. Like that makes me happy. Oh man, like you guys in the Armenian community are masculine. Like you're not afraid of your masculinity. Like that's a cool thing. Why shouldn't we be? Right? And in all the good ways, by the way. I'm talking about masculinity and femininity in all the good ways, in all the positives, not the way people abuse it and so on and so forth. And that exists in all cultures, I think. But just seeing this kind of trending and then working around, I was like, hey, cool, I'm Armenian. I got stuff to say about this and why we're the way we are. So hopefully you enjoyed that little snippet from Joe Rogan speaking about Armenians. Okay, we're back.